Well, that was better than last year. That's not really saying too much, though, to be completely honest with you. Welcome in, everybody. I wanted to get it up as fast as possible, just making sure everything's good on y'all's end. Looks like it's good. Yeah, what a race. And there were some good. I'm not going to say it was completely awful, but there was definitely some bad. I can't say that I really would say, oh, let's do more of this kind of racing. Personally, I was not a big fan of this race. I wish I was. I said it last night. Martinsville is my favorite track on the NASCAR schedule, like bar none. And I can't say at all that I was pleased with what we saw today. I'm seeing, people say what they think in the chat. I can check on the community tab. We'll look at the poll, at least briefly, and I can tell you I can already tell you where it's leaning more than likely. Oh my God. Okay. Wow, I guess a lot of people disagree. I'm surprised. I am honestly surprised. But no, man, that's something. Really quick, I'm gonna share this on the minefield of Twitter, just to make sure we get everybody in here, and then we're gonna go over everything when it comes to the finishing order of this race, details, piece by piece, everything like that. And we'll get to those super chats as well. So let's see. All right, putting the tweet up on Twitter. So let's just get everybody in here. I'm going to get everything closed out. We're going to get right on into this. First off, thank you to Oh Baby for the $5 super chat. Harvick's finish didn't reflect how good he was running in the first 375-something laps. I agree. Bad luck and a package that does not promote passing did not help whatsoever. By the way, be sure to like the stream up, subscribe if you're new, all that good stuff and things. But yeah, it really, this is definitely one that's, it definitely leaves a sour taste in your mouth. I know, I see Blue Jimmy's happy as a Larson fan, but I mean, looking at it objectively, I don't see how so many people are saying this was a good race. There were good runs in this race. There were good pieces of this race, but I don't see how people thought that this was a ton of fun throughout the day. Megatron, thank you for the 5. Mike Joy just said Joey Logano drove for Stuart Haas. I kid you not. Yeah, I heard that. Mike also said that the USFL game would start next year. So just little things, nitpicks. I get it. Then Austin H450 does gaming. Thank you for the first super chat on this channel from you. SHR looked phenomenal today. Major turnaround. Thank you for the 2, by the way. And then RIP California for 5. Seeing Todd slicing between top-tier teams all day until the cylinder dropped was awesome. He was my underdog pick, so I was pretty happy to see how he did with that. And then Herschel, thank you for being a member for a month. Chase from P23 to P10 in that last stint. Yes, very impressive, especially given the package, how well Chase did at the end of that stint there. Okay. Groovy Goose, thank you for being a member for a month as well. I tried to be positive, but this race was a nap fest. Well, with that, let's get to the race results and everything having to do with it. This race was 2 hours, 50 minutes, and 34 seconds long. It was 400 laps with 10 lead changes among 9 leaders and 5 caution flags on the day. I want to let people know those 10 minutes at the start that they put the start forward a bit on, that was 29 laps worth. So if they did run into rain issues, which I honestly thought they would, that would have been why. But looking at the finishing order of this race, Kyle Larson with the win. Then you have Joey Logano second, Martin Truex Jr. with his first top 5 of the season. Then Denny Hamlin in 4th. 5th goes to Briscoe. 6th goes to AA Eric Almirola. Solid runs all around for Stuart Haas Racing today. Not Hendrick. Hendrick actually struggled. Then 7th was Blaney. 8th was Stenhouse. Bubba Wallace with a 9th place run. 10th place goes to Chase Elliott. Then 11th goes to Alex Bowman. 12th goes to Austin Dillon. 13th, Chastain. 14th, Buescher. 15th, Priest. 16th, Bell. 17th, Suarez. 18th, Gibbs. In 19th, Michael McDowell. And 20th place, rounding out the top 20, Kevin Harvick. Then the last four here on the lead lap were Kyle Busch in 21st. Another really bad Martinsville run for Kyle Busch this time around. Not as bad as the fall race, but I was really surprised, even with how the package was, how much Kyle Busch struggled in. Then 22nd went Reddick. 23rd went Byron. I believe he had either a cylinder down at the end or something wrong with his power steering. I heard he had a mechanical issue, and that's why he started falling back. But Byron really not a factor today, which was odd to see. And then Brad Keselowski, 24th, final car on the lead lap. Andrew, thank you for the 2. The next gen has no redeemable quality at Martins. We'll get to that in a moment. Talk about the package. Trust me, we got plenty to talk about with the package. But let's get through the last bit on here. You got Todd Gilliland after a promising strong run. We talked about it a little bit earlier. A run that seemed like he would be competing up front possibly for a top 5. Goes up in smoke with a cylinder, and he finishes 25th a lap down. Corey LaJoie, 26th a lap down, and then 27th, final car lap down, was AJ Allmendinger. These guys all are 2 laps down. 28th place, Justin Haley. Harrison Burton, 29th. Gregson, 30th. And Jones, 31st. Horrible day for Legacy. Even for their standards, that was a pretty bad day. The next 2 are 3 laps down. Ty Dillon in 32nd. And a absolutely terrible run for Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric, I would argue, is one of the most disappointing drivers this year so far. Then 5 laps down, Zane Smith, filling in for Cody Ware. Probably drove it better than Cody Ware could. Then 10 laps down for Anthony Alfredo, which we'll talk about him a little bit. And the only car out today was the 15 of J.J. Yaley, or as Fox Sports put it, the 2009 F1 champion. Yes, that was a graphic that Fox Sports put up at one point. I want to thank a couple of you, a lot of you actually in the chat, that have left super chats and memberships. I appreciate it a ton. By the way, be sure to like the stream. It helps us out a ton. Subscribe if you're new. I want to have fun with all of y'all every week of the year that we can. Let's have fun with this. So, Andrew, I read yours last. Sly Supersonic, thank you for the 10. It's not the best Martinsville race I've ever seen. Anybody who got out front pulled away by 4 to 5 seconds, and nobody could catch them. Congrats to Larson, but overall, I'm not impressed. 4 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, that was really what it was. That the leader got out, the clean air made the difference, and then once they hit lap traffic, then you started seeing the big between the cars, actually, because they all were the same with no fresh, clean air on their nose. I'm going to agree with them, though. I can read off some of my other ratings with this, but I'm giving this race a 4 out of 10. I am a big Martinsville fan. I love Martinsville. But this race did not pass the standard that Martinsville Speedway should be held to. And looking so far this year, the only other races I've rated there for the expectation as well were Phoenix and Vegas. I wasn't a fan of Vegas. I probably could give Vegas a 5, so probably Phoenix. I personally thought this, because of how much I look forward to it, how I thought that the package was fixed for this race, I'm really disappointed. I really am. And I'll give it a 4 out of 10. That's my final grade on it. And I heard it was better to watch at the track, but I didn't get to watch it at the track. I was watching it same way most of you were. I mean, likable winner, all that stuff, nice, but the racing product today was not very good. By the way, while I'm going through some of these super chats and we're talking about the race itself, how about I put up the results up there? I might have spelled names wrong. I was in a hurry. If I did, let me know, and I will be sure to fix it. If they're out of order, let me know too. I was using NASCAR's live leaderboard, so there is that. But looking at some of these other ones here, David Bell, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. Just in time for the NASCAR Cup Series to come aboard here. So good stuff. Thank you for being a member of the channel. Jimmy, thank you for the 5. Hi, that was a good race. There was a lot of different strategies throughout the field, and the new short track package works. I think to a degree it works. I won't say, I don't say that this is like the worst race ever. By the way, if something happened with the audio or whatever, I'd drop something. I wouldn't say it was the like, there were good aspects. I think the strategy aspect was honestly the best part of this race. Green flag pit stops at this track, I believe, for the first time since 2012. I like that, but the racing itself I was not a fan of. I can't say I was a fan whatsoever of it. But that's my take on that whole deal. You know, I'm glad you liked it. I wish I did. Personally, I wish I did. Isaac, thank you for the 2. Fun fact, Stenhouse has 8th best average finish this year, a 14.11. Yes, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., another solid race today, finishing 8th position. Oh, did I put him 7th? Hold on. Did he get passed by Blaney? I want to say. Hold on. I can change that up really quick. Did he get passed by Blaney at the end? Yes, he did. Okay, I'll change that up right now. There we go. You'll see the top ticker, you know, go all weird with it, but that's just because I'm putting the right order in. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate being called out when it's. And Spencer puts in the chat, according to the poll right now, 53% are saying it's a good race. So that changes a lot in the first few hours. Groovy Goose, thank you for the 2. 30-minute cleanup for 1 car incident is embarrassing. We will talk about that as well. And then Austin H450 does gaming. Thank you for the 2. RIP to Kevin Harvick's right front tire that blew. Yeah, that was unfortunate for all Harvick fans, I would say. But let's get into this race, because this race, in my opinion, all 3 stages were different races. And you know, that's to me is what I can really say about it. By the way, be sure, let's get to over 100 likes while we're going into this. And real quick, David Bell, thank you for the 5. This race is a 2 out of 10. Not about good driver or good car. It's all about track position. Hold on. It's all about track position. Drivers will not be happy. Will show their comments soon. I bet. And then Caleb, thank you for the 10. Bobby sounded like slightly more coherent Boomhauer. I thought Bobby was all right. He wasn't. I didn't think he was too bad. But thanks for having the first super chat on the channel. Marky Mark, thank you for the 5. Am I the only one who was hyped for some wet racing at Martinsville? I'm bummed. I mean, yeah, but we'll get an opportunity, I have a feeling. I mean, the way that it rains in Martinsville. And then Ross Crash Stain for the 2. Better than last year, but it still could be. All right, now let's get into the way that this race went out. So Preece started out and got a huge lead. Absolutely huge lead at the start, and this looked to be the Ryan Preece show. He led every single lap of stage 1, 80 of them to be exact. And at first it seemed like they were starting to lay some rubber down. They were starting to get some of a wider groove out there, but that really, you know, it didn't make up for what happened when it came to the package itself, making it to pass. Early on, the story, I think, was Ross Chastain and eventual second place finisher Joey Logano. Chastain was running 31st. Logano was running 32nd. And they struggled through the stage. Logano went a lap down at that point, and it was up to Chastain holding off Preece from lapping him that gave Logano the opportunity to get the free pass. And with that, then, you know, you had also Truex dropping fast. It was definitely apparent some of the favorites or guys that run well were not running well. But the first stage was honestly meh, to say the least. It wasn't the I thought it was, you know, it wasn't the worst part of the race. I thought that was honestly the last run or so. But the first stage ended out with Preece getting the stage win. Then Almirola in second. Good run from Almirola all day long. Reddick in third. Suarez 4th. 5th went to Briscoe. 6th, Harvick. 7th, Bubba Wallace. 8th, Denny Hamlin. Kyle Larson in 9th, and William Byron in 10th. That was about the best that Byron ran all day. I got to say, I was so surprised. Outside of Larson, the best finishing Hendrick car was the returning Elliott in 10th. I don't think really much, of that. He had a good run towards the end, but, I mean, the finishing order does not reflect who ran well today. For the most part. There were some that ran well, of course, but a lot of guys who would run between 11th and 30th all day ended up with top 10 today. I was surprised with. But with that, then on lap 92, you have a restart. At that point, Alex Bowman actually was looking to be the strongest guy at Hendrick, looking to be on the move. But that really didn't get much further than, I think, 4th, I think he got up to before his handling went away from him. And I think that was with the changing temperature, the sun being out, all that. But with it, you had the weekly Harrison Burton spin, this time off the nose of Eric Jones' car. About the only time either of them were relevant on screen all race. I don't mean to be harsh with that. I mean, I'm just saying they were having a mid-off back there. It was not necessarily of consequence which one of them got the position from the other. But the 21 goes around off the bumper of the 43, if you want to make it sound more epic. But from there, you have pit stops. Preece, Bubba, and Truex ended up speeding on pit road. And when you look at the way the day went, Bubba and Truex managed to have a bit of better luck when it came to strategy. So as the day went on, it wasn't too bad for them. But for Preece, he never was able to recover. 133 laps in, so 267 to go. He never was able to recover. His 15th place finish, I believe, was the highest he had really been after that happened. Now, of course, he didn't catch any real good breaks and all that. I understand that there are some reasons with it too. But once he got back into the pack, that car could not drive the same. I think for the first 30 laps he was back there, I want to say he passed 2 or 3 cars, and that was it. It was genuinely surprising just how much clean and dirty air made a difference at Martinsville, of all places. I think Clint even at one point was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but dirty air is making a huge difference. But from there, you have the restart on lap 141. You have Chastain staying out, Todd Gilliland to 2 tires. I think Chastain kept the lead for 26 laps or 24, one or the other. About 25 laps he kept the lead. And with that, he would lose it to Harvick. But it showed that if you stay out on older tires, because of how much more difficult it is to pass, you will get a better finish than you would have otherwise. And you saw that with guys like Joey Logano, like Denny Hamlin, when his handling had went away late in the race, stayed out. Probably wouldn't have got a 4th place finish had he pitted or taken 2 tires. You saw some others like Bubba Wallace ended up 9th. So that, in my opinion, was consequential in showing the crew chiefs, yes, you can stay up in the pack with old tires for a while. You might not get the win, depending on how long that run was. If that final run was 20 laps, we're looking at Joey Logano getting the win in this race, or maybe Denny Hamlin, depending if he roughed him up or not. But seeing how it went, probably would have been Joey Logano. I even put in the chat when we were talking about it that I think the caution or the strategy they had, it was like 20, 25 laps too many for them, maybe 15 laps too many for them to stay out and get the win off of it. And that's how it ended out. But stage 2 ended with Kevin Harvick winning the stage, his first stage win since 2020. And after him was Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin in 3rd. 4th was Reddick. 5th was Brad Keselowski. 6th, Chastain. 7th, Gilliland. So Chastain and Gilliland fell from 1st and 2nd to 6th and 7th. Suarez in 8th. 9th was Almirola. And 10th was Larson. Larson, again, back half the top 10 most of the day. So it wasn't like he had a terrible car, but it wasn't like he had a great one either. But from there, you have the final stage. And before we get into the final stage, I want to read off a couple of these super chats that people left, or at least one of them from JT Owsley. I can't pronounce names. I Apologize. I like Bobby, but if you want to make a race sound boring, put him in the booth. Plus, give these cars more horsepower so they can start racing again. And first super chat from JT. Yeah, I don't think Bobby Labonte was necessarily the greatest to have in the booth. I think he's better as a guy in the Hollywood Hotel or for a pre-race show, stuff like that. I'd agree it wasn't the greatest person to have up in the booth. But he wasn't the worst. It wasn't like as bad as like Danica was at her worst or like that. Again, I respect Bobby Labonte a lot, so I don't want to say too much bad about him, but I wasn't too crazy about him being in the booth either. But let's get to the final stage here. Lap 193, you have the restart. Briscoe shoots out to the lead. The 14, 4, and 11 at that point are just checking out. It is their race from that point forward, and they go from there. Then lap 237, Denny Hamlin would end up taking the lead. And from there, it was really kind of a meh kind of run. Because you have Kyle Busch and Corey LaJoie having about the only real bit of action for about 50 laps from 237 to 287. Those two going back and forth, maybe trying to take each other out. And from there, it's just, green flag pit stops. That's what starts up from there. You have green flag stops, short pitting starts up. And from there, the big thing that we saw at first was Allmendinger speeding and Harvick leapfrogging over Denny Hamlin. But you had a couple cars stay out a bit longer. Brad Keselowski tried, but when the 78th tire of Alfredo flew off, which race control, I guess, was saying to put the caution out, and it took him almost a minute to put it out at Martinsville, where each car went around at least 4 times. I don't know about you guys, but I think that needs to be improved on. That could have been a major safety hazard. That could have been a major issue for a lot of drivers. Ended somebody's race, or at least competitive race. I don't like the fact that the TV camera caught it, and then there was nothing. But from there, you had 6 guys stay out. And these 6 guys were Daniel Suarez, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Michael McDowell, and Martin Truex Jr. So 5, I think. And I think they had like one other stay out too. And a couple lap cars stayed out and made a lap or 2 back from there. And when you look at the way that they finished it up today, Suarez ended up with a 17th place run. I can probably actually pull it up on here. Suarez ended up with a 17th place run. Bubba Wallace ended up with a 9th place run. Of course, Logano ended up 2nd. McDowell ended up fading back to 19th. And Truex ended up finishing 3rd. His best finish of the season. And let me double check, but I have to think that that was his best finish in a while. Let's see. I'll look up MTJ while we're going here. Truex. I think he only had 3 top 5s last year. Might be 4. So that was his best finish since, let's see, he had a top 5 at Kansas, but not as good. A top 5 at Loudon. Wow. Is that really his best finish since 2021? I swore he finished at least 3rd last year. Let's see. He had 1 top 5 at Kansas last year. He had a top 5 at Loudon. Had a top 5 at Talladega. So, yeah, I believe that's his best finish since 2021 at Phoenix when he finished 2nd in the championship race to Kyle Larson. That was the best finish that Truex has had in well over a year. But from there, with 88 to go, you have a restart, and this is where Briscoe gets the lead over Larson for a bit. Briscoe at this point looks like he's going to check out. It looks like this might be Briscoe's race, but it all changes with 58 to go, with J.J. Yaley getting into the wall, the 2009 F1 champion, as Fox put it at one point. But from there, you have Logano, Almirola, and Hamlin staying out. Those 3 stay out. Larson, Suarez, Blaney, Byron take 2 tires. And Harvick had come down pit road, takes 4. It's his last set of tires, too. He has a flat right front. Looks like the nut comes off, everything comes off, and his tire's flat, has to come back into the pits, screws his race up from there because I believe they had to put his qualifying scuffs on the car. And I think he, finished 20th? Yes, he finished 20th. So, when you look at the way that these strategies kind of finished out, you have Almirola coming home in 6th. You have Logano in 2nd. You have Hamlin in 4th. Those are the guys that stayed out. So, in all honesty, probably all of them had better finishes than they probably would have had they pitted for 4. Larson got the win. Suarez ended up... Where did he end up? I apologize. I don't have it completely memorized on me. Suarez ends up 17th. I think I mentioned that earlier. Blaney ends up 7th. Byron, of course, had the issues, so we can't really add him in. So they take 2. Again, I think they probably won out for the most part, or at least were pretty even with where they were running before. So the strategy aspect was a bit more fun. I will admit that. The strategy aspect, I won't say it was to the degree of Richmond. I think Richmond lends itself better to strategy races, but it was better. But from there, you have the restart with 47 to go. And again, like every restart, the leader runs out. In that case is Joey Logano. Denny Hamlin and Eric Almirola battle for a bit for 2nd, which helps Logano get further out. But then once Denny gets passed for 2nd, Kyle Larson's right there behind the 11, and he gets past him. And with 31 to go, you have a side-by-side battle with Joey Logano and Kyle Larson. They're bouncing off each other. Larson trying to push him up. Logano puts a little bit of a hit down onto him as well. And he gets by him with 29 to go. From that point, from that point, Larson runs away with it, gets the victory, and that's race. That's the race. Reading a few super chats here, Christopher. I'm not gonna read about. I'm not gonna read. I don't add in politics to racing. You can do that on your own time. But I appreciate your money. Bailey, thank you for the 2 SHR dominance. Well, for the first like 350 laps, but it ended up not going too much more after that. Caleb, thanks for the 10. More power, less shifting, better tire degradation. I know you'll talk packages later, but how would you fix the racing at NASCAR's best track? Well, I agree. I think this is NASCAR's best track personally. But I think more power would be a big part, but I think the shifting is a big issue. The tire degradation is. I think it's a mix of all of those. They talked about having the groove tires. So, I mean, you can, the groove tires might be an option, but I think it's just an overall package issue. It might have to be thought of from bottom up, rebuild the whole damn thing, because it's pretty clear at this rate that this car does not gel well with Martinsville. I hate it too. I hate saying that because I loved, especially, and this is someone who is a big like Gen 4 nerd here. I loved Martinsville the most with the COT and the Gen 6, actually. I thought both those cars were tough. They were able to race at this track. You were able to put the bumper to somebody without crashing them. I personally liked that. We need to get back somehow to that, because when they were able to bump each other, it worked. You weren't wrecking somebody. You weren't having issues necessarily with that. It was a matter of and you saw this with guys who would have, maybe better tires, or were a faster car. They'd be on the bottom, but the runoff was still enough that you could race side by side. So like that part, I don't think was necessarily too much of an issue. I just think there should be, like when it's a little bit between the tires, I don't think that's an issue. I don't like when, 30, 40 lap tires and it doesn't make a difference for another 20, 25 laps into a run. We saw this last year with the fall race where it was like, man, this is a really boring race. Then they got about 60 laps into a run. It's like, oh my God, this race is actually good. If you can like push that back, I would say to even 10 laps into a run, make it so it's you don't have to absolutely torpedo your race if you don't take 4 tires every time, but you have to be a better car to do that, and you're still going to pay the price if it's a longer run. You're not going to, stay out there for 40, 50, 60, 70 laps on old tires and have minimal consequences for your action. I know it's a very fine line, and I know NASCAR would want to stay on that line. I get that. But for me, it's just there needs to be a better balance of it. Again, I think it is the car. It is fully the car. I don't think it's a track. Martinsville has been one of the best tracks in NASCAR since NASCAR's inception. It is not a track problem. If this was Phoenix, yes, that's a track problem. Because I think Phoenix, as it is at the moment, is trash. As a racing track facility, find out it's good, nice. But there needs to be a better way for them to get this set up. It's, I'm seeing in the chat a lot of people saying, yeah, the short track package is not it. It is not it. RIP California, thank you for the 5. Hear me out. Instead of a third guy in the booth, we add a 2001 Cup car revving to 8K RPM every time there's an awkward silence. I don't know if y'all caught it, but at one point it looked like Clint Boyer had his mic cut, which maybe some of y'all might have thought was merciful. So that, I guess that was nice at one point. I at this point don't know what they're gonna do. If it were up to me, we keep Mike Joy in the booth, as it will probably be next year. Put McMurray and McReynolds in there. Have it Mike and the Max. Have that be the booth. Because I think Jamie McMurray has charisma. He has the knowledge still of recently driving the same way Clint Boyer does. And then you got Larry Mack, who is great, absolutely great on the TV screen and in front of a camera. I would say that would be the way I'd go with it. Let's see. And Andrew brings up a good point coming back to the package. The package improved Coda and Richmond, so it's more of car than anything. Yeah, it really is. It is straight up the car. That is the issue. By the way, letting you guys know, this week we're going to have a lot of fun on this channel. We got, I think, 4 videos coming out. 3 or 4, somewhere in there. And our Cup Series on Tuesday. That's going to be a lot of fun. As well as, and that's going to be Talladega, as well as the NASCAR Weekly Podcast on Black Flags Matters channel. I see others saying, yeah, I'd like the Mac and Mac show. Double Mac. Let's see. What else do we got here? I think you're going to get Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, and McMurray. I'd be fine with that. I personally would be fine with that. Yeah, I personally soon would want it to be Adam Alexander getting up there. Maybe, like I said in the chat here, maybe Alan Bestwick. I'd be fine with him being in there too. I think Bestwick would be awesome. He's still, I want to say he's like, what, early 60s? So he still has plenty left on, plenty of time left. Yeah, I mean, he'll be 62 this year. That's not too bad. So that'd be, I'd love Alan Bestwick to be calling the Great American Race again. I think that would be awesome. Cast and Blast, will this car ruin North Wilkesboro? If it races like this, I think there's going to be a lot of people that are disappointed, personally. I would say so. Like, at the moment, I'm hoping not, but I think it would be... I think it would be a big issue. A really big issue. I'm worried about North Wilkesboro now, because I think it'd probably race... I think it'd race like a mix, with this car at least, like a mix of Richmond and Martinsville. And that, again, like I said, that worries me. But that's just me. Now, I'll let you guys know, too, that we're taking the list applications for your top 75 drivers, Cup drivers, that is, of all time, through Wednesday night at midnight. So it's at weeklypodcastguest@gmail.com. Putting it in the chat now. So there is that to look forward to this week. Anything else that we want to talk about before we get into it? Talladega's this week. I cannot wait to see Talladega, at least. I'm hoping that we see a similar race to Daytona before the final regulated caution or regular runtime caution. Personally, I would definitely want to see that. I don't want to see a million green, white checkers. Similar to the race that I was at last year in the fall. I would really want to see something like that. Just something that is good, hard racing without too much of an issue. John asks, how can we petition to get you in the Nashville commentary booth? Who do I have to talk to? Kevin Harvick? Are we talking Nashville Fairgrounds or Nashville Super Speedway? Because I mean, I always love calling races with Jonathan. Yeah, I'll call a race or two if anyone will want me there. The problem is, does somebody want me there? That's a question I would have with it. Also, please don't use the email to beg to be on the podcast. It ain't gonna happen. True, very true, Spencer. Thank you. I forget to bring that up. Yeah, no dumb cautions, no rain. Let's look ahead at what the forecast is looking like for Talladega, and then we'll probably head on out of here. But looking at the daily for Talladega, it's actually 71 and sunny today, so that's nice. But looking at the daily for Talladega, it's looking like we're going to have low risk of rain, mostly sunny or, cloudy and sunny back and forth, mid-70s. So early forecast is definitely looking pretty good, I would say. Oh, Fairgrounds with IDK? Yeah, I'm down. Sounds like they're down at least to have people there that are content creators, so I know I'm welcome there. I appreciate it. Fairgrounds is a beautiful track. So yeah, I'd be down. I think, if they want me, I'd be down. And then let's see. Alessandro says, I like your hat. Well, thank you. Actually, I've been keeping up with the news going on at Chicagoland Speedway. Speedway is race ready, so if they ever need to bring it back anytime soon, Chicagoland will be there. And I love those guys out there. If they're watching, I'm gonna wear this for a while, for a long while. A lot of these streams. But yeah. Oh, Groovy Goose, did you talk about the Yaley incident cleanup? I went away for a bit, might have missed it. No, I did not. Yeah, there is an issue I do have when it comes to these cleanups. I know it takes a while, and maybe it's just because of the new stuff with the next gen, but I am not a fan of taking 15 to 20 lap caution breaks. Like, if you're gonna be an extended yellow, take a take a red flag on that one. Make it so that we don't miss tons of green flag racing we possibly could have. Thoughts on how Chase Elliott ran today? I thought he ran pretty good for coming back after being gone that long. So, good run for Chase. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll probably make the playoffs. Mark Moore says, my Chicago friend yesterday stated that NASCAR was better off back at Chicagoland. Maybe. I mean, I know some people who weren't even going to think to go to a race before the street course and are going to it. So it's definitely a balancing act, but I love me some Chicagoland. And then Antar Das, thank you for the 5. April is probably my favorite month of the year for sports. NFL draft, NBA, NHL playoffs, NASCAR, IMSA, IndyCar, F1, WEC, IMSA, and Indy were crazy. So yeah, I mean, it is a huge month to be a sports fan. And then you lead right into the month of May, which is even more fun. And then thank you, Michael, for another 5 gifted membership. So I think that's going to call it for the day. Could have been more fun. I think that's really the name of the day. Could have been more fun. But if you want any more racing content, because I'm not putting anything else out other than the poll is out on the community tab. I believe David Land is live right now, so head on over to him if you want more racing stuff. Give an Iceberg raid to him. Have some fun with it. It's very rare he streams the same day or time that I do, so go over and raid David Land for a bit. And I will see you guys this week. Gonna be a lot of fun. So until next time, probably tomorrow with a video, and then the NASCAR Cup Series on this channel at Talladega on Tuesday night. Catch you next time. Later, y'all. Have a good one.